Shalom, shalom. Peace be unto you. Judah Jackson reporting from Seattle, Washington. Hey family, how's everybody feeling? If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you know a lot is going on in the natural and the spirit realm. These are the best of times and the worst of times. And today I come to you as a watchman on the wall. And some of you may not be familiar with that term, watchman on the wall, but in ancient times they built walls around cities to protect and to fortify them. For example, the walls of Jericho were said to be 28 feet tall and 13 feet wide, and they would post booths along the wall, and they would assign people to watch from the booths, to watch for threats or danger, anything unusual. And if they saw something, they would sound the alarm. Today I come to you as a watchman on the wall to sound the alarm. Family, I want to share with you 7 indicators to assess the condition in America. First, I want to share from the Word of God to get a holy perspective about what's going on. And I'll be sharing from Matthew 24, 3 through 8. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us when these things are to come, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" And Jesus answered and said unto them, "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, and say, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in divers places. All these things are the beginnings of sorrow." Now I'm going to share with you 7 indicators to help you assess what's going on. First is the pandemic. Watch the medical technology that's being used. For instance, the V jab. I'm going to have to speak in cryptic language because they are censoring the media like mad. But regardless of your decision about that, I want to say, claim Mark 16, 17 through 18, which says, and I'm just going to abbreviate it for sake of brevity, because this message is going to get a little long, but these signs shall follow those who believe. In my name, ... they could drink of any deadly thing, and it shall not harm them. So remember Mark 16 and 17, regardless of your position, whether you took the V-stab or just to be protected from the Rona. But also look at the laws and the mandates. We are losing a lot of civil and human rights. Now, President Joe Biden has signed 2 executive orders mandating the V-stab for federal workers or testing. Governor Jay Inslee in the state of Washington has just implemented a mandate, the most severe mandate program in the United States, or policies. First, he has mandated vaccination for the state workers, hospital workers, educational workers, and he does not have an option for testing. And I will quote Governor Jay Inslee, "Take the shot or lose your job." So these workers have until October 18th to make their decision. And he increased the intensity last week by implementing further restrictions that mandated inside mask again, outside mask, and vaccination documents to be able to go to the gym, restaurants, theaters, and outside above 500, the gathering of 500, you're required to have a vaccination document stating you've been vaccinated or a negative test within the last 72 hours. So you cannot go see the Seahawks if you don't have a vaccination here. So the second indicator to watch is the drought. The drought on the West Coast. It goes from Washington, Oregon, California, some of Nevada, and Arizona. It's the whole West Coast. And it's so severe that the largest reservoir in America, Hoover Dam, which is off of Lake Mead. Lake Mead is 137 feet low. The water is so low that it is no longer, it's becoming difficult to spin the turbines. And the implication there is that it is going to affect the hydroelectric power to California, Nevada, and part of Arizona. So they could start having rolling blackouts because several of the reservoirs, they're so low, whether it's off of Folsom or Oroville. And the second critical factor there is that the farmers, they're having to ration their water. They can't grow as many crops. And remember, California produces 1/3 of all of the vegetables in the United States and 2/3 of all the fruits and nuts. They are also one of the largest producers of milk and cheese. And the cows have to eat grass and drink water. So this could radically impact food prices and availability. Some people are even using the word starvation. Number 3 is a global chain distribution interruption. It started back last year when the cargo ship was stuck at the Suez Canal for a few weeks or months. It began to back up the cargo and the deliveries, and then China shut its ports for a while. There have been warehouses shut down, minimal workers, but it's difficult to get products. For instance, I needed to get a stereo for my car. I went to Best Buy, I went in and they only had like one available that was in my price range, and so I went online, and 40% online they didn't have them in stock, and they didn't know when they were going to get them. Then I went to Walmart and they didn't have enough, or the variety that I wanted. I had to end up waiting on eBay to get one. So these are the kind of things, all kind of products. And it's so much cargo backed up that the shipping containers are full. So now there's a shortage of shipping containers, which severely raises the price of shipping. For instance, a cargo container shipped from China here was normally about $1,800. Now it's up to $11,600. Number 3 would be the hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is radical and rapid inflation. And I was having my car worked on, and I went to a few fast food restaurants. Hadn't been to a few. I don't usually go to fast food that much, but I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken. A 3-piece meal was $12.50. They were advertising a special for a family meal for $34.99, a 9-piece for $34.99. Can you imagine? So watch this too, hyperinflation of all things. Products, you know, my truck was, I bought another truck, a used truck, but some places were selling that same truck $10,000 more above the blue book. And then 5th is the housing bubble. Anybody that's tried to buy a house in the last few years know that the houses are grossly overpriced. They're at least 25% overpriced. And just last year they increased 17%. So it's tremendously competitive for the low income and the first time buyers, and the wealthy are the ones that are able to purchase them right now. So watch the housing bubble because it's gone so high. A lot of experts like Warren Buffett and Robert Kiyosaki, they have predicted that it's going to bust, and I believe it has started to deflate now because of the moratorium that has been lifted, and more people will be selling. Some people will be getting foreclosed on, but watch that. And also the economics or the stock market bubble. They are, when I say they, the experts like Warren Buffett, again, he's a very wise and conservative man. He is even predicting a crash of the stocks. He has a formula that he uses to predict this, where the global market cap is divided by the global GDP, And if it's above 100, he said there's an indicator that the stock market is going to crash. Currently, we're between 130 to 142%, higher than it's ever been in the history of the United States, even higher than the 2008 crash. So watch that, the stock market bubble. And finally, unusual acts of nature. Again, earthquakes has intensified. There's been 45 earthquakes above 6.0 in the last year. And just the excessive drought and the fires. Remember last year we had fires on the coast, and I was focused on the West Coast because I'm here in America. But remember, it broke out in Australia. It was all over the world. That is unusual. It's unnatural. And it's even too extreme for just global warming. And remember Hurricane Ida that just passed a few weeks ago. I was focusing on Hurricane Ida, and I didn't realize at the same time Mexico, Nora, had Hurricane Nora going on, and then on the Atlantic coast it was Thunderstorm Julian, all at the same time. So family, you have all 7 of these things: the pandemic, the drought, the global chain distribution interruption, the hyperinflation, the housing bubble, the economic bubble, and unusual acts in nature, all at once. Now, some of you might think this is nothing. Oh, it's just a repeat of 2008. And I respect your God-given right and ability to think for yourself. And I'm glad you're thinking for yourself, even if you disagree, because some people are just hook, line, and sinker, swallowing everything the president said, the news said. We're living in days, great deception, that you can't not believe what they say. So what's really going on? Well, I believe God's words just told us in Matthew 24, 3 through 8. I really encourage you to read all of Matthew 24 and Luke 21 as well. But we are in the prelude to the tribulation. It's the troubling times have began, and it's going to be climactic. It's going to continue to rise to a climax. And years, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I believe that the Word of God is true, and that's what's happening. Now, from a natural standpoint, the world experts are predicting a complete collapse of the dollar in the U.S. economy. That's what they're predicting. So, again, some of you may not believe, and that's okay, but I just at least plead with you to just put these things on the burner and these 7 indicators and think about them. And if one day, if you consciously try to research this, like you go to buy something or you read the news or you maybe Google some information or about these indicators, I guarantee you by sundown you will see that most of this is accurate. But so if we're heading for a major crisis, what should you do? Well, basically I'm going to share three steps or 3 pieces of wisdom. Always pray and trust God. Ask for direction. That's a given. And the second, I'm just going to recommend is to adapt. Adaptation. You're going to have to change. God has not left us. One of my Facebook friends that I respect, she's an educator. She was talking about, well, economies have collapsed before, and that's true. But you don't live the same way when that happens. When something is radically happening, you're going to have to adapt and change some things. And I believe the major strategy would be self-sufficiency. Just think about those government workers that choose not to take the V-stab. October 18th, their jobs are ending. What are they going to do? Some of them have children, car notes, house notes. So if you can be as self-sufficient from this system, for instance, another form of income, if you have another form of income, do you have things to barter with? Can you start growing some of your own food? Do you have land outside the city where you can set up an off-the-grid system and have your independent power? I think this is what's going to be a wise thing to do, a wise strategy. And then the third would be to get knowledge and education. Personally, I am now an official prepper. I sold my 2012 Nissan SUV. I bought Thank God, a 2013 Chevy Silverado with an 8-foot bed, my bug out vehicle, and I am planning now to leave the West Coast to move back further east so I can afford some land and set up a self-sufficient sanctuary or place to live. But anyway, so I won't talk too much because that's not my expertise about prepping. I'm just learning. But there's excellent videos on YouTube. Just Google prepping, and it's just a wealth of information. You have farmers, you have ex-military, you have all kind of people, just wise women from Appalachia, just teaching you about storing food and preparing food. A lot of information out there. So family, if you start seeing these, think for yourself. Think for yourself. We are not in the days of Walter Cronkite. We don't have trustworthy news sponsors. You know, all of the media is owned by like 5 or 6 companies, and they're manipulating the heck and telling you their story. But think for yourself, family, and prepare. Be prepared. But all right, family, if this video has added value to your life, please like and share. And remember, those that know their God will do great exploits. All right, take care, family. Judah Jackson, peace out from Seattle, Washington. Bye.